mistake news. Why have Google been suffering from rogue anuses?
Oh, yes. 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 This is... there's a...
Yes.
There's a computer program which misreads old print, so arms comes out as anus, so farewell to anus. I drape my anus across her shoulder in a comforting manner. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. They sound as if I'm making it up, but I'm not, am I, David?
You're not making it up.
No.
The scanning technology they use to turn books into e-books can't differentiate between arms and anus in certain typefaces.
Yeah.
Here's a quote from John Mackay Wilson's Tales of the Borders. Poor Janet shuddered at the words which she heard him utter, for with strange and wicked oaths he vowed vengeance on the individual who'd persecuted him, and she flung her anus around his neck and kissed his forehead. From Georgina Bragg's Matisse on the Loose, she grabbed my anus and positioned my body in the direction of the East Gallery, and we started walking. And in the complete works of Washington Irving, there is a reference to the great captain who had been one of his comrades in anus. Are there any other words that Google Books scanning technology is confused?
Yeah, I can't do tax.
Yes, it reads tax as free. No, it's burn and bum get muddled up as well, as in a patent for a carrier for an integrated circuit that talks of bum-in electrical contacts.
God, Scotland, what happens? It's bums night.
Where they all join anuses and sing Old Lang Syne.
Time now for the odd one out round. One between you this week. Your four are SpongeBob SquarePants, Sally Burko, Walter Tell and Carmen Miranda.
Fruit.
Sally Burko fruitcake?
No, she was caught... I'm sure I saw this on Channel 4 News. This was big. She was at one of the conferences balancing some item of fruit on her head in a bar.
Yes, that's correct.
Walter Tell, son of William, balanced an apple on his head and had it shot off by his father. Carmen Miranda had a whole bowl of fruit on her head. Fantastic, and sang, "Yes, we have no bananas." SpongeBob SquarePants, he's quite a guy. Bob is the odd one out. Is it because he's got a friend called Patrick?
And he's the odd one out because nobody else knows anybody called Patrick.
Where does SpongeBob live?
He lives under the sea.
a pineapple.
Yes, but also under...
A pineapple.
No.
Yes!
Yay!
Hello?
Right.
Is there an echo?
Did you say
Is there an echo?
Did you say under a pineapple first?
There was a little echo over that
I
side.
don't know.
He did all... you know what? Let him have it. Proper chairman, and God love you, Hump, would have said by now, I'm going to award points to both sides.
But I can't say it now. How spineless would I look? Yes, SpongeBob SquarePants is the odd one out. How would you describe his voice, Ian?
Rough, manly.
Cutted Lord Helsham.
Well, Tom Kenny, the man behind the distinctive voice, describes it as a dolphin with a touch of seagull thrown in, which is also a starter at Heston Blumenthal's. Can you name any of Carmen Miranda's hits?
Yes.
I
like you very much. Way down among Brazilians, coffee beans go by the millions, and they got a lot of coffee there to sell. There's a full lot of coffee in Brazil. At last, the show's coming to life.
Carmen Miranda cracked America, but her English wasn't great. She told one magazine, "I say 20 words in English. I say money, 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 and I say hot dog." She went on to teach Nancy DeLolio how to speak English. Yes, they've all had fruit on their heads, apart from SpongeBob SquarePants, who lives under a pineapple in a fun town under the sea. Sort of like Blackpool will be once all the fracking starts.
Before we start, I have a little surprise for Bill.
So, what?
I have a little surprise for Bill.
You're fired. You're off.
In order to make this announcement, will you please welcome the man who is the inspiration, the man whose idea it was to do QI in the first place. He is the genius that is John Lloyd.
What? Now, I want to say, Bill is the original QI panellist. He was on the pilot 21 years ago, so we owe him a lot, really, to make this such a success.
Oh, thank you very much.
But you may remember a few years ago, Bill, you were slightly embarrassed because the panellist with the most appearances on QI was Phil Jupitus.
Yes.
And we awarded him a certificate to mark that occasion.
Bastard.
But tonight, he did 3 more shows since then.
Yes.
And tonight, you have caught him up because this is your 46th show, equal with Phil Jupitus.
Yes!
Many congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And so we thought it was only right that as you share the award with Phil,
yes,
I'd like to present you with half the certificate.
Half the certificate. I will treasure this. Thank you so much.
You can put that next to the dancey thing.
Yes, I'll put it next to half a glitter ball.
This is the news that a number of female mayors has, for the first time, overtaken the number of mayors called Andy. So, what did nobody see coming?
Well, everybody saw a Tory rout coming, and it was indeed a Tory rout. They lost 500 councillors. They lost the West Midlands mayoralty. They lost the Blackpool South by-election. And they lost their passion for life, Bill.
And at the end of the evening, the Lib Dems had won more councillors than the Tories. Now, that's bad.
And they had a sort of defection as well, didn't they? Yeah.
They did.
Natalie Elphicke.
Yes, let's have a look. Yeah, there she is.
At the last minute, just before Prime Minister's question time, she defected. She crossed the floor, which is amusing because she's the MP for Dover and she's used to people crossing her.
And also, she was about as welcome as a surprise visit from Matt Hancock.
Well, you sound like you're speaking from experience, sir.
A lady never kisses and tells.
No.
Name some famous vegetarians for me.
Well,
Hitler.
Oh, dear.
Everyone thinks he was, but he wasn't.
He is in my mind.
Oh, right.
Napoleon. Not Derby.
I don't think so.
My tortoise died the other day, and I honestly considered having its leg on some toast.
Really?
And I just thought, I wonder what it tastes like. Do you know, you obviously don't think like that.
No.
I know. It's the same, isn't it? We had a tortoise once, and it had a very, very bad arthritis in its leg, and they said we can actually operate and replace it with a wheel. They do that, don't they?
Yeah. Actually, casters, so they can go in all directions.
Oh. We thought about taking all his legs off and just putting wheels on all of them.
Yeah, that would have been wrong.
And then a little engine on the top. Sending down a shop for a paint.
Yes, an aerial on a spring.
Well, you could put some peanuts on it for parties.
I bet you couldn't do that. I bet you someone would object if you motorised a tortoise.
The RSPCA first.
Because you can have lorries like... Political correctness gone mad, Jamie.
Don't even mutilate a tortoise anymore.
What's suggesting we mutilate it?
You know who would object?
You had a tortoise.
Vegetarians would object.
It could keep its legs. I'm thinking of some like a Bigfoot truck in America. With big wheels that could be detached so that it could be a tortoise and run around and eat weeds. And then,
its legs
and
go
then
up.
you could, when you wanted to go shopping, you could just send it off to the shop.
A transformer tortoise.
Yes. And there's great big ones in the Galapagos Islands.
Oh, they're terrific.
They could bring quite big, substantial pieces of furniture back for you.
You could put wings on them and they could take off.
You could, yeah. You could get those wheels you just...
Anyway, that's good. Good talk. Mad, but good. And the Vegetarian Society claims that the word vegetarian comes from...
Ryan Giggs has spent an awful lot of money to ensure that he's become world famous for stuff other than football.
Yeah.
But people still might be sued for telling people that it was him, so...
Yeah, well, that's right. The MP, John Hemming,
Yeah.
he said that apparently 75,000 people named Ryan Giggs on Twitter. It's not possible to arrest them all. Well, I mean, it's worth a go, though, isn't it? I mean, Well, the thing is, the injunction is still in place.
That's right.
That's the thing.
Absolutely.
Despite the people keep going blabbing it out, there's a legal expert, Joshua Rosenberg.
Yeah.
This is what he had to say about it, right?
Well, the law is clear. There is still a court order in force which says that we can't name Ryan Giggs as the person who brought these proceedings.
Stop!
I'm pleased we can say his name, though, because I was getting so fed up. Every newspaper, every day, it was like, Imogen Thomas has been having sexual liaisons with a man who cannot be named. It's like, what, Voldemort?
Yeah.
I sort of see why he did it as well, Ryan Giggs. Because you get the super injunction, he knows that if his identity was known, then people would know not only who he was, but also that his marriage was on the rocks. And at that point, John Terry would be round his house like a sex-crazed whippet.
Yes, the worst-kept secret in Britain is finally out. Lawyers are a complete waste of money. As the row unfolded, thousands of Twitter users named Ryan Giggs in what the Daily Mail called one of the biggest acts of civil disobedience in modern times. Top that, Syria, lightweights.
This particular lady I'm about to tell you about was in the same business, there she is, as her mother and her grandfather before her. Now, what you have to do is stop me, all right, when you know what it is that they sold in their business. I'm going to give you some clues, all right? We all want more of it. Okay? Some of us keep it better than others. It's invisible. Yeah.
Time.
Yes, it's the right answer.
They invented time?
No, they sold it.
I was going to say, I think I remember what William Hartnell looked like.
No, they sold it.
Oh, they sold it?
How would you sell time? How could you make a living selling...
What period?
They started in the 19th century and went all the way on up to 1940, 4 generations of the family.
Time shares. You get a flat in Malta for 2 weeks.
No.
Is this something to do with Bristol being 11 minutes behind
It's
London?
not exactly to do with that, but it's to do with the fact that in the 19th century it started to become more important to keep time, and there was only one clock, the Greenwich clock, that keeps the official GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. And this woman would go with her pocket watch, which is a very fine pocket watch, and she would, once a week, put the time right, and then wander around London, and people would pay to have a look at her watch. And she made money giving people the time. Businessmen had a subscription to her business.
It sounds very, very much like a scam, some sort of a euphemism. And what is going on here? Hey, just looking at my watch, officer. In this dark alley.
You'd think, wouldn't you?
Stop her to look at her watch?
Yeah, her name was Ruth Belville.
A what?
It was a John Arnold pocket chronometer. Number 485786, and they cornered the market in it from 1836 to 1940.
There were only 3 of them ever did it, so
well,
one person at a time.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky if you could find them.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, people could buy an annual subscription, and I guess they would go around and visit them in the same way that a sandwich company goes around to a
like
to
an
a
alarm
firm
clock?
or they'd go around with the clock and say it's now exactly this, and the firm would settle their watches by it.
Where did they why did they decide on an hour? What was that? What was the Why an hour? Why not just, half an hour and make that an hour?
Because 24 is divisible in so many different ways.
It's very factorisable.
It's divisible by 2 and 3 and 4 and 6 and 8.
10.
Exactly.
You could add 10.
No, 10 is only divisible by 1, 2, 5 in itself.
Only on one.
That's why 24.
If you go into another dimension, you could have anything you want.
Well, unfortunately, we weren't in another dimension.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Forgive me, but why was it important to divide 24 by 8?
Yeah.
Well, no, to have as divisible a system as possible.
Why wouldn't it be 100? Why not have 100? Make it all up to 10.
If you want to do that, then you can have a plan to decimalise time, if you like.
Changing it. In fact, I'm going to live my own. I won't make my own.
Yeah.
I'm going to cross 2 of these off. Let's have a vote.
What should we vote off, though? Read this number?
3 and 8.
Yeah. Well, last night you joined the show.
You can't do 1 to 10 because then we'll never have 11s ever again.
So,
no, I'll leave it at 9s.
So look, come on, can you just...
9s.
So what is your system? How many hours are in your day?
20.
20 hours of
Nice and
daylight.
simple. We call it a hurrah.
Right. Okay, a hoor. A hoor?
A hoor.
Strumpets. Size is a whore, I think.
20 strumpets.
Yeah. Well, there are a number of objections, obviously, that I'm not the one to make them. It originally was 12 hours because the Babylonians were the first really
Yeah, well, what
to
do
come
they
to
know?
it. Well, they... Right. But they had a base 12 counting system.
Yes.
The French did try decimal time after their revolution.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did they?
Ah, you see?
Yeah, it didn't work.
Why did it not
I
work?
don't know. It maybe just didn't work because the rest of the world just cocked a snooker them and didn't like the idea.
Is it not like Betamax and VHS? They all went with 24, but
Maybe.
the French should have gone with 20, and nobody...
Well, the French...
When has the French ever worried about what the rest of the world thought?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, we have 10 fingers and 10 toes, and then you could count off the bits, the sections of time by each one of your digits, couldn't you?
What time is it?
What time is it? 1, 2, 3.5.
2 minutes past 4. What would that be then? About 6.
About 6, yeah.
Well, good luck. That could be an interesting line in merchandisable metric clocks.
Yes.
Yeah. It's the Bill Bailey QI metric clock.
Metric clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine, that'll do me.
Anyway, we've just done an hour on that topic.
Yes. Does the king think we should be playing the bagpipes?
He's finally lost it. Oh, it's very good for your breathing.
Yes.
It's really good for your lungs.
Yes, exactly, that's right. No, it's good for your health. A Scotsman advised that beginners may wish to find a large field to play in. But I prefer a panel show to practice on.
Oh, yeah.
So, there we go. Yeah, it's really good for your health.
While you're recovering...
I was wondering why we'd never done that before.
According to the Daily Telegraph, in musical terms, a song is an unlikely combination of choral and rap, known as crap.
I think I'd rather like that. What? Zadok.
Really good.
You'll never guess what I just imagined. I imagined that was empty.
It's the best reaction I've ever got out of Paul.
You've never said before. Oh, well, that's guaranteed that to be in, otherwise you wouldn't explain this to anybody. Oh, dear.
It's time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication, Ratitude. The magazine of the North of England Rat Society. For northerners who don't find pigeons dirty enough. And we start with, Putin is what, says author?
Great bloke and I want to live.
Yeah.
Is it gay?
The answer is latently gay, says author. A new biography of Vladimir Putin speculates that he might be latently gay. The biographer is not the first to make this claim. The idea that President Putin is latently has been put forward by a number of recently deceased psychologists. Next, chimps take what?
Is it the fucking piss?
The answer is chimps take their owners to court.
No, they don't.
This is the story of a court case in New York in which 4 chimpanzees are seeking to be recognised as humans. The complexities of the chimpanzees' case have left legal experts scratching their heads, rubbing their asses on ropes and eating things from behind each other's ears. Next, From a rat PR point of view, what was very negative?
The bubonic plague.
No, it's the name Red-Eyed Devil. Next, Chinese girl had what in her ear?
British Prime Minister talking patronisingly. Got a flower in her head.
It was a fully grown dandelion. A doctor tried to remove it by blowing, but all that happened was he found out it was 3 o'clock. Next, what was high at Thirsk Rat Show?
Sexual tension.
The body count. It was an absolute bloodbath.
Yeah. The safety officer. Looks all right to me. Just duck the rats on it. Good stuff.
The overall standard of ears was... Next, clown epidemic what?
Relatively easy to spot.
Clown epidemic in Norfolk, warned police. Police in Norfolk have warned of an epidemic of people dressed as clowns. Clowns are actually fairly easy to capture because they tend to have extremely unreliable getaway cars. Finally, what can add an element of aggression into the relationship which can backfire?
Drunken fighting amongst priests. You bastard! You can't have a wedding.
It's shouting at a rat. What? The last time I had a rat backfire was when I stuck a firework up it. I'm just joking, obviously. It was a kitten.
Let's talk about the Lincoln MP, Cole McCartney.
Cole McCartney?
Why?
I never thought I'd hear that name again. 5 years ago in Cairo, me and him had this secret affair. We kissed each other on the balcony. Oh, no, I better not say any of this. I have no idea who he is.
He may cost us £15,000. Do you know why?
Because I've just libelled him. I didn't kiss him on the balcony.
No. 15,000, that's not going to cover the lawyer reading the letter.
I bow to your superior experience.
No, it's to do with the way his name is written. He wants the parliamentary records changed because they print his name with a small c, like this. And he thinks it should be written with a sort of floaty C, like this. And so far, it's cost several £100s to change the parliamentary records, but changing it on Hansard and the House of Commons website could cost £10,000 to £15,000.
That's because it's written on vellum, and you can't easily rub it out.
But that's absolutely ridiculous. Not on his wanting his name spelt properly, most people do, but that it should cost that sort of money to make a tiny little change on a computer system where even I don't hold myself up as a great expert in this field, knows that you can change fonts on machines quite easily. Most of us want our name spelt correctly, don't we? It's a reasonable ambition in life.
May I just say...
Achievable for most of us.
I find you extremely attractive.
My wife is in the audience.
I'm so sorry, Mrs.
Would you like the rest of us to discreetly mention it?
I didn't intend to do anything about it. I just thought I'd mention it along the way. Let's talk about Sir John Chilcot.
Yeah, why not? That'll kill the mood.
We're still waiting for...
You're going to tell me you find him very attractive?
You like a man who takes his time.
Let's take a listen to the next history noise.
Next history noise.
Paul
That was
and Mark.
A zip?
It was a zip, yeah. Why is zip particularly historical this week?
Must be the 100th anniversary of the zip.
100th anniversary of the zip.
Yes, it's been 100 years to the day since a man first went, "Ah, no, that's just making it worse." Yeah, I'll tell you what, if cats don't like being stroked, they should try that. The zip appears in the top 5 of the list of 100 greatest inventions of all time. Can you tell me what else might appear in that top 5?
There's a moth in the studio. Moths. A moth. Fire. Fire's got to be one of the top inventions, isn't it?
No. I think fire was a discovery more than invention.
Oh. That moth is very, very excited. Someone's got something very old out the wardrobe. I think it's that gentleman's jumper.
It shows you how interesting this programme is. Everybody's focus is now on that mob. So, yeah, the fire. Yeah, fire. So fire's a discovery.
Let's take a look at the top 5. They are in order. The corkscrew, or bottle opener.
Yes.
The optical lens, the zip fastener, the cigarette lighter...
Fire! Portable fire, I should have said.
What about the moth zapper? Really do with one now.
I told you to wait in the van.
How did the Danish government convince its citizens to multiply? This is one of my randy scandies.
You mean actually?
I do mean that.
Was there financial incentives?
There were incentives.
We all need incentives anyway, don't we?
What, to procreate?
Or just, you know, the bit before that as well.
Right. I'm fine, but OK.
Incentivise me!
So I can narrow it down. It's actually a place called Thisted, which is in Jutland, so the mainland, the bit that sticks up from Germany. So what happened in 2015, the local authorities were going to close down the local school, and everybody was very upset in the local area. So they struck a deal that the people would procreate as much as possible if they kept the school and the leisure facilities open. Nothing says, I'm bringing sexy back like a council memo.
Did they all do it? Did they all have to have kids?
Well, as many as possible, so they were encouraged to have kids. I have to say, it's a lovely place, Thisted. Not a lot to do. Number 3 on their own website of things to do in the area is visit the candle shop.
Sexy candles for around the bath.
There's been lots of times before. Britain has had its own panics about falling populations because of the war and contraception and so on. So in 1921, the Daily Express ran a competition to find Britain's largest family. And the News of the World offered a free tea tray to any mother. Any mother who gave birth to her 10th child. Don't want your bloody tea tray, I'll take your head off with it. And the French still give medals for having large families. That's still a thing, the Médaille de la Famille Française. How many kids for bronze, what do you reckon?
6.
4 to 5. Silver, you get 6 to 7. Gold, 8+.
I thought you said 45 for a second.
There's so much wrong with that picture. I can't begin.
Go on.
Why are they creating a human bench for their 2 children?
That is worrying.
Have they glued their heads together? Maybe they're ventriloquists and that's how they hold their children. Just used to holding people like that.
Now, for an out-of-office question. How do you get everyone to leave the office party?
Fire alarm?
Fire alarm's good.
Sprinklers?
I'm going to give you a clue. It's a particular office that we are going to be in. It's going to be the Oval Office.
Tell him the president's on his way.
So, the President of the United States, it was a tradition that he held an open house to celebrate the inauguration. And theoretically, anybody could show up and shake the president's hand and drink a bit of punch. So, 1829, Andrew Jackson, he had a tradition of, you know, having people over, and it was the worst house party ever. 20,000 people showed up, massive crowds poured in, they stood on the furniture, they ground food into the carpet, they broke the crystal, and apparently the carpet smelled of cheese for months. So, how to get the guests out of the house? So, the house has got 20,000 people in it, they're all making the place stink of cheese. What did you do?
Fire?
No, you want to lure them. Be nice.
Ice cream van.
Ice cream van in 1829. I'm loving the idea.
So, I'm sorry. Ice cream cart.
No, they set up huge barrels of whiskey on the lawn.
Free booze!
Free booze!
We've had so much cheese!
But he didn't learn, Jackson. So 1837, he's done 8 years in office, and he leaves office, and he's been given as a gift this massive half-ton wheel of cheese by a farmer, a half-a-ton wheel of cheese. Yeah. And he thought, we'll have that as a party. 10,000 people turned up and ate this cheese in 2 hours. And once again, the White House stank of cheese, apparently.
Simpler times when all you need for a great party is just an unbelievable quantity of cheese. You don't even need biscuits.
No. So the truth is, most people don't look forward to their office parties. They did a survey, 700 office workers, 25% did look forward to it, 40% didn't care, 20% actively hated the prospect. And 15% couldn't be asked to answer the question, I think.
I think you have to be quite socially confident to say you're looking forward to your office party. It sounds a bit keen.
Yeah.
You're supposed to dread it or go, oh, it'll be fine. So those 25% are either very socially confident or they've completely missed the mood of the times.
Yeah. Right, I'd like you to act out the opening scene of the classic film All Together Passionately.
Sorry, am I on the wrong show?
Yes. I'm happy to do it as long as I can go on top.
I think you should speak to Josh.
Yeah. As long as you've got a cushion, I'm fine with it.
Anybody know All Together Passionately? Great
not
film.
ringing any bells.
It is the Italian name, I will tell you, for a very famous film. Tutti insieme appassionatamente.
I'll be honest, if anything, I'm further away from the answer.
Yeah. OK, if I do this...
Passion of the Christ.
And I'm twirling around on top of an Austrian mountain.
Sound of Music.
Sound of Music.
Sound
It
of
is the
Music.
Italian name.
Is there an Italian phrase for the Sound of Music?
Apparently that's what they called it, All Together Passionately.
Oh, no. That sounds like a film you wouldn't watch on a train.
Do you watch a lot of films on trains?
Lots of them. You have
Oh,
to
yes,
be-
because you don't fly,
Yes,
so you spend your
yes.
life on a train.
So you have to be very careful sometimes if you have a film with a bit of...
Naughtiness.
Naughtiness.
Ooh. Yeah.
You have to turn it to the window.
Does anybody here cry at movies on planes that you wouldn't normally cry at? Like Paul Blart Mall Cop? I mean, floods. Not even the movie, sometimes it's a credit card ad. Like, oh my God, she lost her credit. Oh, she got it back. Oh, thank God. So many emotions to handle in one commercial.
Well, here's the thing about The Sound of Music. It was so popular in South Korea when it was first released. One theatre owner in Seoul made the film shorter by cutting out all the musical numbers. He could show it more often.
Do you know what? I've never seen it.
Oh, Josh!
Oh, really? Never?
You never see the... You are 16 going on 17.
Yeah, it's like that, but with a tune. And... Do you know, I was once lucky enough to meet Julie Andrews. It's the only time in my entire life I've been completely speechless.
Because she wouldn't shut up.
She just kept asking me what my favourite things were. It's very annoying.
Do you like him tied up with string? I bet you do, girl. I bet you do. What's a deer? What's a female deer? Come on, leave me alone. I'll get the puppets out. Do you want to see the goat herd? It wasn't me singing. Maria, I'll be back with you. I'm Maria. Shut up, Julie. God.
I'll be honest, I understood none of that.
My question is, what's your worst nightmare?
I don't have nightmares. I just occasionally have dreams that are quite stressful.
Oh, like what?
Increasingly, they involve having to do my A-levels again.
Oh.
For some reason, I've been busted back to the sixth form, and I have to do my A-levels again. I keep saying, this is ridiculous. I've been to university. Why am I having to do my A-levels again? But I do have to do them again. And I wake up all stressed by it.
And then have to go to the toilet.
Yeah. It's quite nice, because I reflect as I go to the toilet that I don't have to do my A-levels again. That's good news.
Are you a nightmare person, Alan?
No, but I wish I had a dream recorder.
They're boring, though, when people tell you their dreams. They're so
No, not
boring.
other people's dreams. I don't want other people's dreams. My own dreams are amazing.
People always go, oh, my hands were made of coleslaw, and then you were in it, and you had, like, really big... And you're like, this is so boring.
Have you ever been... When you hear someone describe their dream and they mention someone's in it, and then you sit there rather hoping that you're going to crop up in it. And then you don't always, and you sort of go, oh, I've not invaded this person's consciousness enough.
Sometimes I have dreams where I need to fight someone and I have no strength. And I'm supposed to get somewhere and I can never get there. And I'm impressed by all the various obstacles I can put in my own way that I invent in the night.
But those aren't the most common sort of ones. The thing about being chased, not being able to get to the toilet in time. Being exposed publicly naked is a very big thing, and how you respond to that. So if it doesn't bother you, that suggests you are secure in real life. If you're embarrassed, it suggests you are uncomfortable about something. If you don't notice that you're naked, I think you have a lack of self-awareness, is, I think, what it would probably be. Do you sleep on your left or your right side? Because that may have some impact on whether you dream or not.
Do most people have one side?
Oh.
I like
Are you a tosser and turner?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, my God, this is a dream, and you're going to wake up and go to the toilet in a minute. We're all in your dream.
So what did you say, left or right?
Right.
OK, so that fits with the study that they did in 2004. You are more likely to have disturbing dreams if you sleep on your left-hand side than if you sleep on your right-hand side.
So I'm good. So
Yeah.
you toss and turn.
It could be either way. I didn't realise. Now I'm making a choice.
Yes.
You know, am I just going for rest or adventure?
What side does your wife sleep on?
I'm not aware of her having a preference for one side
So
or the other.
you have one side of the bed, right? Like,
yeah.
Surely... See, I...
Yeah, I'm not an idiot.
So my husband makes me sleep facing away from him because I breathe too loudly.
That's quite weird, isn't it?
Well, like those two in the picture.
Oh, yeah.
When I got married, another thing I found out, that it wasn't usual to put your underwear and your socks on before you put any of your clothes on.
Well, you're supposed to put it on
Nobody else.
afterwards.
No. I put
marry a superhero.
I put my underwear on, and then I put my socks on, and then I put my outerwear on.
OK, and what's wrong with that?
Well, apparently it's weird to put your socks on before you put your trousers and your top on.
I think your husband is telling you that things he does are things that everyone does. I think it is perfectly reasonable to put your socks on before your trousers.
It's also perfectly reasonable to breathe while you're asleep.
This man's official title.
Is it the Pope? Head of the Catholic Church?
Yeah, it's not his official title. So we rang, I love this, we rang the Papal Nunciature. Guess where they are located?
Lowestoft.
Wimbledon. And the spokesman translated the Pope's titles from the Vatican's official directory. They are Bishop of Rome, Vicar of Jesus Christ, Successor of the Prince of the Apostles, Supreme Pontiff of the Universal Church, Primate of Italy, Archbishop and Metropolitan of the Roman Province, Sovereign of the State of Vatican City, Servant of the Servants of God, but not Pope.
Try fitting that on a name badge.
I know! It's a colloquial term from the Italian Papa, so it's a style rather than an official title.
Why do you think those guys all around the back are looking in the air?
Because their hats haven't
and
landed
the Pope's
yet.
looking forward.
My hat came first!
Supplementary question, is the Pope Catholic? I mean, literally, is the Pope a Roman Catholic?
He's a Roman Catholic. Yes.
Because the Pope, that is, this man, is not called the Pope, then he is a Roman Catholic. This one is a Roman Catholic, but the actual Pope is the Pope of the Coptic Orthodox Church of Alexandria, and his official title is Pope of Alexandria and Patriarch of all Africa on the Holy See of St. Mark the Apostle. So he is definitely the Pope, but he isn't a Catholic. He's the Pope of the Coptic Orthodox Church. So the Pope, the man whose actual title is the Pope, isn't a Catholic. The Pope isn't officially called the Pope, and the man who actually is the Pope isn't a Catholic.
Clear?
Yeah.
How Romish.
New Year's Eve. I think it's such an unacceptable day of the year. You know, the fact that you're sort of put under pressure to celebrate it. You know, everyone's sort of geeing up, what are you doing for New Year's Eve? What are you doing for New Year's Eve? And the thing is, it's the wrong time of the year. I know it's supposed to be at the end of the year, and that's OK, but it's just after Christmas. And then people are saying, when do you want to... What are we doing? Where are we meeting up? Well, I've literally spent Christmas period seeing you. Why would I want to see you again so soon after? It needs to be in the middle, like June, July, so we get a 6-month break. Not we're all hanging out, and then a few days later, here we are again. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? And then it's just sort of the whole thing about the whole idea of New Year's Eve, people getting ready with resolutions and stuff. I find resolutions they should be banned. Because, like, my mum's New Year's resolution was to see me more. No, thank you. It's in complete and direct opposition to what I want to do now.
So what doesn't Alexander like about food and drink?
Yes, these are unnecessary cocktail ingredients. Now, I'd just be perfectly plain at this point. I have nothing against cocktails, per se. I think cocktails are marvellous. They're racy, they're fun, they're brightly coloured, they're exotic, they're delicious. They are, let's face it, the perfect way to introduce children to alcohol, which is... I think, actually, no, there's one thing is wrong with cocktails, and that's when you're standing at a pub behind somebody who asks for 4 mojitos. And you know that you're going to be waiting there for half an hour while some sweaty man in an apron picks up some bar truncheon and starts mashing bits of herb with it. Have you ever...
When I next hear someone ask for a brandy Alexander, I shall watch with interest what they're going to get, won't you?
Truly, Henry, you are the voice of the people.
No, I think the cocktail I'm particularly talking about is the one... the cocktails you make at home, Bloody Mary. The list of Bloody Mary ingredients just gets longer and longer for every year it exists because it's a drink made by hungover people, and hungover people just can never make up their minds what it is they want. They know that something's going to make them better. What they don't realise is that thing is time.
Let's see what Ronnie doesn't like about going out.
Yes. Small talk at parties. Those kind of endless, sort of meaningless but polite conversations that you have to go through when you meet somebody that you don't know at a party, and I'm not very good at it. There normally are things like, there's usually one oh, where do you live? Oh, I live in Peckham. Oh, I know Peckham. Whereabouts? Oh, near the Sainsbury's. Oh, which one? Because there are 2. Yeah. Well, you know the Duke of Devonshire pub? Oh, yes, I know, because a friend of mine, her cousin used to live round there. Yeah, well, I'm not there. I'm Meredith Road. No, I don't know that. I mean, it's not that I don't love people, don't get me wrong. It's just that life is too short. You just kind of sort of want to jump in with, you know, where do you stand on Nigel Farage? On his windpipe, preferably.
I always used to start by saying nice shoes if I was talking to a woman.
I might write that down. That's quite good, actually.
Nice shoes. Unfortunately, they couldn't hear me. I was on the floor. Usually in a pool of my own vomit. But, you know, different times. I'll tell you, do you ever get that thing when you're talking to someone and they're looking over your shoulder to see if there's anyone more interested?
Yeah. Ever since I've been married, that's happened.
I wear this for such occasions. And then they can't see over my shoulders.
Brilliant.
And the great thing about this is if they turn out to be a bit on the boring side, you can do this and,
What's his name? Came to see one of my shows in Edinburgh a couple of years ago. Remember, my audience wouldn't deliberately mislead anybody. So I'm quite willing to believe everything he says.
So that's you and David Cameron?
Yes. If the Prime Minister thinks he's OK, that's good enough for me. I'm quite naive about these things.
Well, the Prime Minister's had a very good track record.
Yes.
I mean, Andy Coulson was OK.
Yes, he was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Till he wasn't.
Until he wasn't.
Yeah. So what's your reading of the situation, Mr Hislop?
Do you know...
What?
I don't think the government come out very well out of this. It does appear that they were so far up Mr Murdoch's bottom, you couldn't see any of their heads. This is the Leveson inquiry, and it was a shocking day. Mr Hunt was the Culture Secretary. He was in charge of the bid for B-Sky B, and yet his office was giving information all the way through to the Murdochs.
I mean, why hasn't he gone? It's morally bankrupt.
Well, he's there as a firewall, isn't he? If he goes, then Mr Cameron is looking very shaky.
It's like that thing of when everybody gets annoyed with each other and they end up kicking the dog. I mean, James Hunt has dismissed his private advisor.
James Hunt?
James.
Racing driver. Why am I asking this man? Why am I asking him? He's got no idea. He's mixed up Formula 1 racing drivers with a culture secretary. Mind you, if you're going to get his name wrong, it's better to get his first name wrong rather than his second name.
I think I was trying hard not to get his second name wrong. Consistent with the 70s.
You're all right in the zone. This is the news that the Leveson inquiry has finally perked up at long last, and everyone is
finally perked up. There have been some notably excellent witness statements.
You turned up there, didn't you? You were in a very happy position of having nothing to hide.
Yeah, but I had no idea it was going to get this good. Murdoch today, selective amnesia, fabulous. You know, the medics must be having a field day. Can you remember anything about phone hacking? No. Can you remember how badly all the politicians have behaved? Yeah, bloody well can.
What is in Michael Gove's handbag?
Snacks. It's brought enough for
You'll find
everyone.
crisps. And something else.
The actual speech.
The actual speech, is it?
Oh, what happened there?
I pressed, but everyone else spoke.
I think Ian was speaking.
Yeah, Ian was, to be
I think
fair.
the speech is in there.
Yeah.
Because he has to then get down on one knee and hand Her Majesty the vellum parchment.
That's absolutely...
I'll have the chicken. Original sprouts. I mean, if you took a woman in her mid-80s and piled layers of fur on her and then put an incredibly heavy hat made of gold on her head and then made her read out 10 minutes of meaningless drivel, you'd be reported for abuse of the elderly, wouldn't you?
This is the most powerful number, 7. Is that right? They did a survey. I must have read this somewhere.
They have. They've done a survey, and 7 is the world's favourite number.
Ah, favourite number.
Yes. Alex Bellos asked 44,000 people to submit their favourite number, and 7 proved the most popular. He describes it as the loner, the outsider, the Nigel Farage of the number 1. Shall we go through the top 10 world's favourite numbers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What's at number 1? Number 10, sorry.
So, number 10, what do you think?
Number 9's number 10.
No.
Number 8's number 10.
No.
Number 10's number 10.
No.
Number one.
No.
2.
No, all numbers are available.
Oh, 128.
No, at number 10, the 10th most popular number is, in fact, 11. At 9...
It's 10.
No.
40.
No.
21.
No.
100.
At number 9 is the number 2. 2. The most popular number in 8th position is 6. At 7, the 7th most popular number is 9, and the 6th most popular number is 13. OK, here's the top 5.
This is going to be on Channel 4 for a whole evening. There'll be some talking heads in a minute. What do you think of 6? Yeah, love it.
I've always liked 5 because it's a working class number. That's what I like about 5.
Well, I think that 3, for me, I mean, when I was first growing up, I thought 3 was a magnificent... Oh, sorry. I've started auditioning. I'm sorry. Where am I?
But let's firstly complete the top 5.
Yeah.
At number 5 is 5.
Yeah,
And
brilliant.
number 4 is 4.
Yes.
And number 3 is 8.
Oh.
At number 2...
1.
Is 3.
3.
The magic number, and of course 7 is the top one at number 1. But the study did ask people to describe the numbers between 1 and 10. 2 was thought to be cautious, wise, fragile and sympathetic. How do you think 3 was described?
Nostalgic, sexy, unreliable.
3 is pretentious.
Oh, God.
4, according to the people who responded to the survey, is laid back and a rogue. Yeah, this is absolute bollocks, isn't it?
Nigel Farage.
Farage.
What lie did Boris Johnson tell Robert Peston?
Was this the 350 million again?
Linked?
On the NHS?
Linked.
Did he say it would be
Oh,
reconsidered?
He said it was in the manifesto.
Yeah.
Did she say it at the manifesto launch?
No. Not only did he lie, but he actually cheated as well, because he looked at Peston's notes in the hope of finding out what the question was going to be, and he was caught.
I didn't know what cheating you were referring to there.
You've suddenly adopted the character of a northern housewife. Oh! Have you heard about... Well, it's no surprise to me. He was rinsing out his own gloves last Saturday.
We haven't talked about Labour very much, so to head off any accusations of bias...
Are you leaving now to be replaced? The next round will be hosted by Michael Portillo. Come on, we can have a train round.
When it comes to Labour's manifesto promises, how did Shadow Foreign Secretary Emily Thornberry muddy the waters?
Was this Trident?
Yep.
She said there'd be a review, and the review might include scrapping it. Was that the problem?
And do you know who contradicted her and said it was Labour's policy to keep Trident?
Shadow Defence?
The Shadow Defence Secretary, that's right. This was Nia Griffiths, the Shadow Defence Secretary. Emily is not the Shadow Defence Secretary, I am.
You're doing it again! I don't know who that man was she was in the pub on Saturday, but it wasn't her husband, I'll tell you that much. I know full well he's got a job in Peterborough.
Paul this week apparently saying that 60% of people want the government to get on with Brexit.
Well, according to a company called Delta Poll, 60% of voters polled agree with the statement, I no longer care how or when we leave the EU, I just want it all over and done with.
Sort of dignitas, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
When's the appointment?
Yeah.
What is this order? What do you want? Do you want it over with, or do you want it fought out?
Open the box! Take the money!
Just glad to see divided Britain in action.
That was a second referendum.
That was it.
The Queen has pulled out of hosting a reception for world leaders at the conference. What would she be doing instead?
Is she hosting the One Show?
Could well be.
I tell you who's done a lot to reduce their carbon footprint. Prince Andrew.
Yes.
He's not left his house for months. Good on him.
Andrew's not going because the word cop is in the title. The Queen actually has been told to rest. But why is she so knackered?
95?
And apparently sources have told the press that she has been staying up late to watch TV.
What sort of source is that, though?
Me, I probably said it. I don't know. It said, I mean, she probably watched the extended version of this show, which goes out at, I think, 3:07 in the morning every Wednesday.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, the BBC have been really giving it a push.
They have.
They've been giving it a right look. There you go, see?
Contains some strong language and adult humour. Fuck me, I never knew that.
Is that Rue Paul Merton?
Yeah.
Blimey, students, they've woken up. They've been told that the teaching budget's been cut, they're going to have to pay 3 times as much and pay it back for the rest of their lives, and they're thinking, I'm not sure I approve of that.
A student was interviewed and said, and I quote, there's no jobs out there, and now they're asking us to pay £9 a year, which if you do 3 years, that's like 21 grand.
Of course, the Lib Dems were staunchly saying, of course, they wouldn't go up, which is great that they got in power and put it up.
Yeah.
Well, they had no idea they were going to be in power when they...
Well, they could have...
when they made these promises.
Nick Clegg keeps saying it's the right government for the right time, which I think is such a seedy way to sort of dignify opportunism. You know, he would have made a pact with the Klingons if it meant a sniff of power.
I don't know, I think the Klingon manifesto was pretty good.
I'm going to disagree here because the Klingons have shown in the past that they're hell-bent on world domination, so I'm glad the Liberal Democrats are in there with them.
And the Klingons always get the Lib Dems to make the policy announcements.
Absolutely.
They're going to blow up a whole planet. They say, oh, get the Lib Dem to announce it.
The Lib Dem party in this arrangement is the equivalent of the guy you see on Star Trek walking around the planet who you've never seen before, is the first one to get killed. That's the Liberal Democrats in this scenario.
But how does Nick Clegg look at himself in the mirror in the mornings?
Just looks at David Cameron and sees the same thing.
In other mistake news, why have Google been suffering from rogue anuses?
Oh, yes. 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 This is... there's a...
Yes.
Yeah. There's a computer program which misreads old print, so arms comes out as anus, so farewell to anus. I drape my anus across her shoulder in a comforting manner. This is what's happening. This is what's happening. They sound as if I'm making it up, but I'm not, am I, David?
You're not making it up.
No.
The scanning technology they use to turn books into e-books can't differentiate between arms and anus in certain typefaces.
Yeah.
Here's a quote from John Mackay Wilson's Tales of the Borders. Poor Janet shuddered at the words which she heard him utter, for with strange and wicked oaths he vowed vengeance on the individual who'd persecuted him, and she flung her anus around his neck and kissed his forehead. From Georgina Bragg's Matisse on the Loose, she grabbed my anus and positioned my body in the direction of the East Gallery, and we started walking. And in the complete works of Washington Irving, there is a reference to the great captain, who had been one of his comrades in anus. Are there any other words that Google Book scanning technology is confused?
Yeah, it can't do tax.
Yes, it reads tax as free. No, it's burn and bum get muddled up as well, as in a patent for a carrier for an integrated circuit that talks of bum-in electrical contacts.
God, Scotland, what happens? It's bums night.
Where they all join anuses and sing Old Lang Syne.
Right, let's have a look at Sam's choice.
Holding hands. What? Oh. No, I'll give you an example. OK, no, wait. Just wait. This is good. OK, the example is, OK, you know when you're walking down a very narrow footpath and you see, like, a loved-up couple walking toward you holding hands, OK? Now, a decision has to be made as to who's going to stand in the gutter of despair and loneliness, OK? Why should I be standing in the gutter of despair and loneliness whilst you're walking past me with your bloody love? Yeah? And if I was a single man of one, you look at them and you're thinking, well, you know what, they've got a double disposable income, so they're making more money than me as well. Like, my wife's just gone back to Australia. I went to Tesco the other day to buy myself, like, all the ingredients for Matriciana pasta. Cost me £42. You can at least give me a little bit of concrete. No? Like, the only thing for holding hands for me, OK, is like, if you're a little boy and you need to cross the street, you hold hands. If you're a little old lady, you need help across the street, you hold hands. So you do it on the way in and you do it on the way out.
It's interesting you say that, because I used to hold hands with my partner quite regularly. And I've noticed since I've gone grey, we don't hold hands because it looks like I'm being helped.
Actually, I love seeing an older couple holding hands. There's nothing sweeter than this little old grey-haired couple sort of tottering.
Yeah, they're on the way out. It's fine.
What doesn't Tim like about modern life?
Well, I can explain what's happening here. What I don't like about modern life, which I think is now exacerbated by the amount of prank shows there are on television nowadays, is the phrase, only joking. This phrase apparently means you can do anything, as long as you then say, only joking afterwards, and then everything's all right. This is an example of a physical thing that can happen. Here I am, this is me here, and I'm quite slim there, and I've got a napkin. I was playing tennis with a napkin. I said, don't serve yet. Anyway, I'm sitting having a lovely meal, and this person here, he's pulled the chair away. I've fallen down, probably hurt my vertebrae, and he is gone with the red nose there just to sort of underline it. He's gone, only joking, and that's apparently... And I have to go, oh, right, OK. But that's not a joke. A joke is, I went on a date with a girl called Simile. I don't know what I met her for.
Also, there's no only about joking. The joking is quite a difficult craft. People should say I'm only being serious, because anybody can do that.
Well, you're right.
Your brother does serious television. You could go and do his job tomorrow. Could he do yours? No. In case you don't know, Tim's brother is Sir Trevor McDonald. OK, what aspect of nature winds up Josh?
We're all quite scared now. It's the only thing more controversial than Lord of the Rings. No, this is the home of nature and the great outdoors, and it is Devon.
OK.
Which is where I am from, so this is OK.
Right.
I think Devon's all right if you're not from Devon, because you don't have to have spent your childhood in Devon. To give you an idea of what it's like, my parents have got dial-up internet.
What even is that?
It's like the third world, Frank. Now, I don't want to come across as a city slicker here, but I can make a phone call and go on the internet at the same time in my house.
It's amazing. What? It's like James Bond.
And do you know how many children there were in my year at primary school? 4. 2 boys, 2 girls.
4 children in your year?
Yeah, including me.
You should have done so much better in life, shouldn't you? You had that, like, private schooling.
Someone had said to me when I was 11 I'd get to meet Aled Jones and he'd tell me my life wasn't going very well. I'd have snapped their hand off. There's a kind of rivalry as well between Devon and Cornwall over little things where you go, for instance, I don't know if you were to have a cream tea, Frank.
Oh, it just so happens.
Now, which one of those would you choose? Because one is cream over jam.
Yep.
And one is jam over cream.
One is a Devon scone and
one's
one's a
Devon, and the other is completely disgusting and wrong.
Yeah.
I like jam first and then cream on top.
Correct decision, Sarah Cox.
Oh, really?
No, but that's Cornwall.
That's Cornwall.
No, jam on below, cream on the top, that's Devon.
No,
No, that's Cornwall.
Devon is definitely the cream on...
So, the Cornish are right. I was... This place, to tell you how bad this place is, it's worse than Cornwall.
Yeah. This gives me the shudders. I'll tell you what, something happened to me. I was at a cricket match, right? And I was with the wife of quite a high-ranking cricket administrator. I won't say who. And she was a sort of, how can I put it? She was sort of full-figured woman. And they started bringing out the cream teas. And I said, because she was the wife of a cricket administrator, I said, I bet you've had a few cream teas in your time.
Oh, dear.
I meant because her husband was a cricket administrator. And I tried to explain that in a sort of a, you know, people, when they're crying, they don't listen.
Why do doctors hit your knee with a hammer?
To test your reflexes.
Yeah.
That's correct, but what reflexes are they?
The reflexes are being...
It's because they don't like... There's nerves that run from the thigh upwards to the head. No. No, you would think that.
It's something to do... So the expression's like a knee-jerk response.
A knee-jerk reaction, yeah, a knee-jerk
because it doesn't go to the brain.
Yeah,
it goes... It communicates amongst itself.
Well, it goes
somehow.
up to the spinal cord. It doesn't go all the way up to the brain at all.
Yeah.
So it is unmediated by the brain entirely. It is absolutely a knee-jerk
It only
reflex.
happens in 2 times. One is when you get hit on the knee with a little hammer like that, and the other is when you're asleep on a crowded train. It's only 2 times. And you never see a doctor rushing off with a little hammer.
Right. Anyway,
What if you did a murder with your reflex? If someone sort of attacked your knee and then reflex, you had a knife attached to your shoe or something, and you killed them, would you be able to say, but the reflex, it didn't go to my brain, it only went to the bottom of my spine, so I didn't really do it?
Yes.
That's like when you're driving and you have an automated response. It's called like murder by automaton, but you don't go to prison. So if you sneeze, for instance, and then you run someone over... Someone sneezed!
Yeah. Talk about a reflex.
That means there's been
a murder! That's murdered someone!
Now they know they'll get away with it.
Wow.
It's something like...
If you walk into a room with a gun, cocked, sneeze, it goes off, you kill someone, you're in the clear.
So if you want to kill your wife, what you do is you drive down to Dover, you get her right up against the cliff, and then you put your leg behind her, and then get a doctor to tap the knee. There she goes.
And the doctor would go to prison.
That would act up.
The doctor would go to prison.
I think so.
What if he was sneezing as he tapped the knee?
The perfect crime. Broadchurch Series 2.
I love this imaginary super compliant wife that you found.
To be taken.
Just come all the way here and stand there. What are you doing here?
Why does the GP come with us?
Get her out of the house.
Isn't it a lovely view, my love? Stand still.
Guys.
Spiders.
Oh, that's... It was like they had a debate first. Shall we applaud?
Whole gamut of emotions.
Yeah. So why? Why spiders?
Well, I recently went to Australia and that was a whole nother ball game. I mean, I'm frightened of spiders here, but in Australia, they are massive. I mean, literally one picked me up at the airport. In a taxi.
It's still on your head.
Quite good when we got to the hotel, though, because he picked up all my bags.
But, I mean, they're properly dangerous in Australia as well.
Yeah,
so
they can kill you. You know, like here in England, the thing is, in England, you do the sort of postcard cup technique, you know, you try and trap. In Australia, there was one this is a true story. Me and my brother were sharing a hotel, doing a bush tour, and there was a huntsman, it's called. And it literally was this big, right, on the wall. So we couldn't even get it in a mug. I had to go to the kitchen and get a mixing bowl, and we had to use an album. I used Abbey Road, right? This is a true story. And because mixing bowls, they're see-through, they're sort of magnifying, so it was that big anyway. When I put the mixing bowl, its head was bigger than mine. I could see its cheekbones, it was awful. And so I slid the album underneath it and took it outside, and I put it out, and it didn't even just go in the bushes, it walked down the sidewalk like a man. Like a man would. It just went off. Crossed the zebra crossing. Must have got the idea from Abbey Road.
OK, Bridget, what's your choice?
Calm down.
Yeah, the Kardashians have babies, you know. You didn't mind those going in the room.
Well, OK, so obviously they're very cute. If they weren't cute, the human race would have died out a long time ago because early humans would have gone, OK, I've done 3 days now, I'm out. That's enough. I just think they're overrated. I think that they contribute the least to society, but they are the most worshipped and revered people on Earth.
After the Kardashians.
They create chaos. If you replaced any of us with a baby, there would be chaos. Or a pilot, or a bus driver, or...
You can't argue with that. Rasheen, like, about modern life.
Me. Selfies.
Yes.
Selfie is a word used for people who take photos of themselves relentlessly and put them online. I don't mind a selfie where people sort of look ridiculous, but the sort of vain, like that, that's fine. But the sort of need people have to sort of document their own existence to the point now they just take photos of themselves looking nice and sort of you have lots of young teenage girls sort of putting that face, doing that. And you know what's really upsetting is these people have got like 5,000 followers on Twitter and yet no one to take a photo of them. It's like, at least have the decency to hide your own arm. So it looks like you were with someone and someone else thought your dress was nice enough to photo.
If you can actually crop the pictures and get your
it's the
arm
lack of
off.
intelligence that upsets me the most about selfies.
Even, you know that famous Van Gogh self-portrait? That was, if you actually looked at the original version of that, that was actually a selfie. Are you familiar with hot dogs or legs?
Sorry?
Hot dogs or legs. It's a selfie-based phenomenon. And so what you have to do, people take a photo of themselves, maybe, and you have to guess whether it is their legs or whether it's hot dogs. Here, let me show you an example. It's tricky, isn't it? I'll show you another one. You'll get this one. What do you think?
Hot dogs.
Yes, I think they've used the napkin to try and create a skirt.
Yeah, went too far.
To fool us. This last one, really, this confuses me. I think that's a leg and a hot dog. Because that
leg
one,
on the left, isn't it?
That one on the right, you don't get a thigh bone that bends in like that normally.
I think that's legs.
I think that's legs.
Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can I just genuinely say, why are we doing the rest of the show? Can we not just do this for half an hour?
I sort of use selfies in order to send messages. So I've got a few examples that I use. I'm sorry I'm running late. Thanks for dinner. And I haven't actually used this one yet, but I've got it in waiting. Here it is. This is I'm having a heart attack. They've saved me a hell of a lot of time, I must say. What about Aisling's choice?
Pigeons. Frankly, Frank, I've had enough of these disease-riddled rats of the sky. Yes, thank you. Bit of solidarity there. We've just let them roam around, owning the streets of our cities for far too long, and I don't know why. What do? They're obsolete now. Everyone sends text messages, unlike back in the old days when you used to attach, a bit of paper to their legs. And I think that's what it is. I think that's why British people let them stay around so long, is because of all the hard work they did during the war. But, you don't see other veterans going around Trafalgar Square pooing on the monument. So I don't see why we should allow pigeons. And, they just there's an arrogance about them. They're like the aggressive sort of man in a pub being like, no, you move. They're like, just don't like them anymore.
First of all, they are, I think, an important source of exercise for toddlers. I have a 3-year-old, he will chase a pigeon 1.5 miles. He'll run so far, he'll vomit, and then, of course, the pigeon will sort that out.
They're not New Labour anymore. No. I hadn't noticed that. They're going to rebrand.
Yeah, Labour.
Labour Classic.
They couldn't call themselves New Labour when Blair left. It's like when Mike Nolan left Bucks Fizz. They couldn't call themselves Bucks Fizz anymore.
Labour could go with Bucks Fizz. Champagne socialists, but slightly diluted with orange juice. And the Lib Dems, what are they?
I think they're going to sit this election out.
Yeah.
That's probably...
They've got a note from their mother.
I think they'll play the sympathy vote to a certain extent. Just have Nick Clegg topless holding a puppy, just looking into the camera like that.
According to the Sunday Times, what has David Cameron decided to do?
Resign.
No.
Go on holiday.
No, this is about the TV debates.
He's going to debate with Nigel Farage. He's going for the toughest one first.
That's right. Cameron is going to take on Farage. According to the Sunday Times, Cameron wants the TV debates to be in a 2-3-5 formation. So that's Cameron Miliband, Clegg Miliband Cameron, and Farage Cameron Clegg Miliband with Yaya Toure behind the strikers. Thank you for laughing. I don't know what that meant. Who cooperated with the FIFA inquiry?
The English.
Yes, no one except the English and the Australians, and definitely not the Russians or the Qataris.
We never get it, do we? We're conducting... Oh, yes, we'll help. You're guilty.
But why... I mean, why would anyone believe the Russians could be corrupt? But why didn't they cooperate with the FIFA inquiry?
Because they destroyed all their records by accident. Yes. As you do when someone says, I'm conducting an investigation.
It was simply that the Russians were unable to provide more than a few documents from the bidding process because the computers they used during their bid had been leased, they were returned and subsequently destroyed by their original.
We must bid for the World Cup. First, we must rent some computers.
Qatari Mohammed bin Hammam undoubtedly paid money to a delegate from Tahiti specifically to vote for the Qatari bid, but why have FIFA dismissed this as irrelevant?
But they said he wasn't acting on behalf of the Qataris. Despite being Qatari and described by the Qataris as their greatest asset in our bid for the World Cup, he was not acting for them. Thank goodness FIFA sorted that one out.
But in this instance, they know he paid money to a delegate to vote for the Qatari bid, so that it's definitely to do with the Qatari bid, but they dismissed it as irrelevant because they said this was only one vote out of the 13 required and therefore could not have been significant. If the ballot papers of 1/13 of the British electorate were forged, that wouldn't be relevant because it couldn't affect the result.
No.
I mean, it's not funny, but these people are arseholes. What, according to the FIFA report, did the English bidding team do that was so worthy of condemnation?
They organised a gala dinner for Warner and generally sucked up to him.
It's almost sweet, our pathetic attempts to bribe them. We sponsored a dinner for Caribbean football to the tune of £30,000 and found a part-time job for a friend of Jack Warner. That's the Jack Warner that the Qataris paid over $1 million to. I think they got a signed copy of your book as well. Did you see the exchange of emails between some of bin Hammam's staff as the allegations of corruption first surfaced?
No.
Well, they appeared in the Sunday Times. It starts, I need you to start shredding his correspondence. So soon? Yes, start from now. There are 3 years of filing to be shredded. Just do it discreetly, OK? What about the request from the Russians to shred? In other news, who can tell me which former Tory MP once scaled a building to break into his own office?
It was Rory.
It was Rory. Very impressive for a civilian, yeah? We know you can't say, but it's lovely to have you here. Who has been claiming they're a spy recently? Relative of the fantasist-in-chief?
Stanley Johnson.
Correct. Stanley Johnson. According to him, in the 1960s, he was recruited while studying at Oxford and giving training which included the task of blowing up the power station in Blythe on the Northumberland coast, which he did successfully. And why was Stanley Johnson only a spy for 6 months? Stanley himself told The Times, my incompetence might have cost people their lives. It's a bit of a family trait. This is the news that MI5 want to recruit more people from diverse backgrounds. Rory Stewart has denied being a spy, but has considered going undercover. He recently told New Yorker magazine that he considered living on a council estate for 2 or 3 years to better understand British poverty. Well, you could try, Rory, but thanks to your old party, there's a 30-fucking-year waiting list. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features a guest publication from Rory's old stomping ground, the Penrith Ramblers Group newsletter. And we start with what mocked for looking like Phil Collins?
Lewisham Town Hall. That's right, isn't it? I can tell. It's Lewisham Town Hall.
Not right.
But then people say it all the time. It's Phil Collins. Oh, no, it's Lewisham Town Hall.
The answer is statue of baby Jesus, mocked for looking like Phil
I've
Collins.
got to see this. Oh.
This is a church in Mexico who accidentally installed this.
OK, give us a clue. Which is which?
And it's quite good, really. It's Genesis.
Yeah.
What's Ruby's wild card?
My mother. As far as eccentrics, this was the A-lister of A-listers. So I'm grateful to her for some of my comedy. We had a dog that she loved, Lumpy, and this is not tasteful. But, you know, when people came over, he would sort of grab their leg, you know, and it would smear them off. But my mother would go, look, the lover boy, he's dancing. And then she'd go at the party, she'd go, Lumpy, say Heil Hitler. And he'd go like this. I mean, oh no, she was way out there. Oh,
to be fair, he was only following orders.
Can I just say... You get fixed on things, like I do now, you know, where it's like a Russian missile just honing in. So she came to England and she said, buy a broom. But then she doesn't stop it, right? So we'd go to the restaurant, she'd go, a broom, and with the bristles, not this, with the bristles. And every night she'd draw it in the tablecloth with a knife, with the bristles. It never stopped. So finally I took her to the airport. She's still going, buy a broom. You can see her through the window. And then sits down. As soon as she gets home, about a few days later, she goes, did you get the broom? And then she says, oh, your Aunt Hamburger died. And then she said, now, what about the broom? And I went, wait, what did you just say? And she said, your Aunt Hamburger died. The broom, buy the broom. And I said, what did you say? She went, okay, back the clock up, 24 hours, she's not dead. Now, buy the broom. That's genius. Yeah.
She
was
sounds
fantastic.
marvellous.
Yeah.
My mum used to say, don't put hot tea bags in the bin or you'll set the bin on fire.
The world is such a filthy, suppurating toilet that there's nothing you can do, and you don't need to be marketed some crazy thing that they invented 20 minutes ago when soap and water does a fine job. So it just... Basically, the fact that they're trying to make us buy it, carry it around, I mean, you can put it on your belt loop now, just enrages me, really. And I have 3 little kids, a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, so I live in filth. And I don't get any sicker than the next guy. My wife is a teacher, so she's around other scummy children all the time. And it's just silly. I mean, yes, their germs exist, but, you know, I was talking to a doctor friend of mine recently. Usually when we get sick, it's because of just stuff that's inside our own body that decides to present itself. And what are you going to drink the hand sanitizer? So I say no. I'm not saying no to hygiene. I'm saying no to the unnecessary, very recent invention of, like, soap 2 or whatever. It's so silly.
Apparently, your average hand sanitizer is 65% alcohol, which is 3 times more than vodka. Now, I'm a recovering alcoholic.
Yeah.
It would be safer for me to have human excrement on my hands. And that is certainly the path I've chosen.
Now it's time for a round of quick-fire hypotheticals.
Quick-fire hypotheticals!
So, all you have to do is tell me the first thing that comes into your head, basically. All right, it's a quick-fire hypothetical question. Let's say you found a fallen tree in the forest, right? Obviously, it fell down before you arrived, but did it make a sound as it fell?
Ooh, no.
Well, no one's going to say yes.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, do you know where this question comes from, as it were?
It's a
Bishop
famous
Berkeley. Bishop Berkeley, yeah.
philosophical question, isn't it?
That if there's no one to hear a sound...
Is there a sound?
Is there a sound? It depends so much what you mean by sound, doesn't it?
Well, there isn't, because sound is the vibration of the eardrum. There is no sound
Is it?
if there's no one to hear it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it depends, though, because part of the definition of sound is that there has to be a recipient for the sound.
Yeah.
Isn't there? There's the thing that makes the noise, and there's the transmission of the noise, and then there's the reception of the noise.
Yeah.
But if there's no reception of the noise, then maybe the noise doesn't exist.
Other things are still vibrating, but whether that vibration counts as a sound or not is
But when the forest
That's the
ever
definition
empty?
of sound is what happens in the ear. There isn't any sound if there's no one to hear it.
It's a mooty point.
There's a speed of
Yeah.
sound, and it's only what happens in the ear. Well, how do you get that speed between that and your ear? Maybe by the time that tree's fallen, you got there, that sound's halfway around the world and making someone else very nervous. Ah!
So, Stephen, are you sure about this?
Well, no one is sure. That is the point. That's why it's a hypothetical. No one knows. I mean, to a semanticist or a neurologist, they may say that sound is that, but to a physicist, they would say the propagation of sound waves is sound. Whether or not there is an ear to vibrate, it is a sound wave. And if it's a sound wave...
I disagree that they are sound waves, because if you go...
You may disagree, but you're welcome to. But you're not...
Vibrations, but they only become a sound wave when there's an ear to receive it. It's run like... Do you remember we talked about a thing that really astonished me? Did you know that light's invisible? It's the most extraordinary thing. If you, in a dark vacuum, if you shoot a beam of light across the eyeballs like that, you can't see it. Because you can only see what light hits. And it's the same thing, but people said, but that's a stupid answer, because the definition of light is something that goes into your eye and is then received. Until it does that, it's not light.
But we have all kinds of things like not ears, for example. Are you saying that it's not sound if it registers on a recording device that is left there without a human there? That it's bending the needle of a recording device? Does the machine not hear? Is it not a sound wave that is actually causing the machine to register?
Well, but in Bishop Berkeley... So
I talked about you, not about Bishop Berkeley entering a field. The point is, it's not as simple as just to say yes or no. That's why it's a good question. It's a good question. We would have unfairly forfeited someone who said yes just as much as somebody who said
I thought
no.
you said there was no right answer to this question.
There is no... That's why I said there is. That's why it's a good question. There is no right answer. So your yes and your no are both... That's
whatever I said, it would be...
Yeah, I'm afraid
so. If the tree fell down and there was no one there to see it fall, it should still be upright.
Very true.
My only conclusion...
You're right. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, Alan, are you keeping well?
Yeah. What way is Iceland's most recent volcano similar to Genghis Khan?
I think they're both shag nasties. Genghis Khan apparently has shagged everything that moves, and that he is the father and mother of all populations in Europe and Asia, so he shagged everything that moves. and the volcano, of course, has spurted out, had an orgasm of ammonia, and has fertilised Europe. Damn good answer.
I have to be brutally honest and say that's not what's on my card.
Oh, shit!
If there was no such thing as science, you'd be right. I think I know what it is.
Yes, go on.
I think, obviously, that volcano stopped lots of transport going on.
Yes.
He must have stopped something happening, which the volcano stopped happening.
You're in this all right here. The odd thing is it's both very beneficial, especially at the moment. It's a thing we talk about a lot. Now, that volcano poured out, they reckon, between 150,000 and 300,000 tons of carbon dioxide. So there's a huge amount of carbon came out as a result of it. But, if you remember, no one flew for however long it was, and the lack of flying saved 3 million tons. So, in fact, it was a huge offset of carbon. And in the case of Genghis Khan, he slaughtered his way across the world and had the largest empire the world has ever seen. 4 times bigger than that of Alexander, twice the size of the Roman Empire. And he killed about 40 million people. And the result was there was so little farming that the forests grew back. And you can time a huge benefit to the world from his slaughter. But that's rather extraordinary, isn't it?
So what do we have to pronounce?
Now, yes, that's what I was... How did you know that I was going to ask that as a supplementary question?
I thought you already did.
Oh, did I already say it?
Oh, that or I read it off the
Oh, you read it off the audio? You great big cheater! I would now like you to pronounce the name of the volcano, and it's written up there for you.
Oh, God alive. You're prawn rings.
You should have been a newsreader.
With your accent, you've got the best chance.
It looks a bit like that, yeah? Any thoughts?
Jaff Yali Jokro. Yeah.
Brian,
Jogul.
Then I'm saying it, woman just got You may have set it off again by doing this.
Yeah. I think the umlaut changes it, doesn't it? Those two little dots.
The two dots.
Yeah. And I think, actually, the way you're supposed to pronounce it is... Hutch.
If only.
It changes it.
Apparently, it's Eyjafjallajökull Leiokodl.
And is that translated big smoky bastard?
Yes.
Yeah, you will go by ferry.
About what's winding up Russell Kane.
This genuinely wasn't planned. This is one thing I would like to put in Room 101 is men who get grumpier with age.
What?
And I'll tell you why. Not because I've got any problems with these men, although it would be nice to be around men in their 50s, 60s and 70s who are happy all the time. It's just that I think men would be healthier, happier creatures if we weren't so miserable. Most men, not all men, now and again you do see a happy old man, but it becomes like it's something you stop at point at in the street. If you see like a normal wisdom, look at that happy old man, it's amazing. I don't know what the secret is, I've always been like it. Most men are walking along going, why am I alive? And some men, you get so miserable they can only laugh, you know, if they see, I don't know, if they see a car written off on the M25 motorway. Look at the state of that Jaguar, that'll never run again. We live, men of this country, 5 to 7 years less than women. Doesn't happen in every country. And my theory... it's women cheering. My theory is this. We think ourselves to death, yeah? The less happy you are, the less likely you are to live a long and happy life. Lonely people die before... Now, we know that, on the whole, women tend to be, not always, more emotionally connected than men. If they've got a problem, they get their friends over. Hey, I've got Claude over, I've got Tess over. We talked about the problem, there wasn't a solution, but we lit a candle, and do you know what? I feel better just for talking about it. Whereas men...
That's how it works.
Whereas men will be like, I have a problem, I'm going to hold it inside till it's a diamond, then poo it out and die. Right? Now, the evidence is, in cultures like parts of Sicily, Sardinia, Japan, where there are villages where men can't sort of do that isolation thing, I need time on my own, and the houses are full of aunts and grandmas and daughters, the men's mortality rate equalises with the women. We are literally, by being grumpy, thinking ourselves to death. We're going, oh, I'm not going to speak to anyone, heart attack, death at 60, leaving behind a generation of women, relatively young these days, who then have to pretend to grieve. How will I survive without the miserable sod? What a disaster! How will I go on? Without Barry mocking my parking, how will I survive? You can park forever in the crematorium. Goodbye, Barry. End of point.
OK, so what's upsetting Alan?
Advice, Frank, is what I'd like to put in Room 101, because I think maybe I'm arrogant, but when people say, I've got some advice for you, I often just think, nah. Don't bother. But a lot of advice is terrible. Like, I think when you tot it up a whole life, there's probably about 3 bits that are any use, and one of them's yellow snow. And the rest of it, I just think, is waffle. Like, just bad advice. Friend told me that he was told when he was younger, dress for the job you want, not for the job you've got. Have you heard that? That's apparently business advice. And people think it's good. It's not. He is serving a custodial sentence for repeatedly impersonating a police officer. I think it's bad advice.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever given Alan any advice. Have I?
I don't think so.
Because comedians do, especially, like, you know, elder statesman comics like myself sometimes. I remember an American comic saying, he said, I'll tell you something about stand-up comedy, and I thought, this could be handy. He said, always take your wallet on stage. Sensible. Yeah. And another guy, an English, he's a magician, actually, and he said to me, tell you some, I was very new. He said, I'll tell you something, Frank. He said, when you get a BMW, and you will, get power-assisted steering. That is the comedy advice that I've had from in my whole career, that's it. What does Adam Hills not like about modern life? Oh my...
Abs. There's just so much pressure on... Do you know, there's fit and there's... I just can't do that. When was it important for people to have really finely honed abs? Do you know what I mean? Like all the sex symbols from the 70s, they didn't have abs. Paul Newman and Robert Redford, they didn't have abs. As opposed to Bruce Springsteen, who was photographed on holidays at the age of 62 with abs that no man should have.
Wow, he looks amazing.
No, he doesn't. That's not right.
Isn't it good that people look all ripped?
I'm happy to look good, but there's something about Bruce Springsteen, I think, tipped it for me, because he was the champion of the working class. He was always the, you know, everything's gone wrong and life's tough, and he's just one of the guys at the mill. And now, you don't get abs like that unless you've got someone helping you. Do you know what I mean? You don't get abs like that from just...
Excuse me.
What?
He has done it all himself. He looks magnificent. Unlike you, you're sort of disgusting flavour.
Oh, my God.
Revolting. Where did you pose for this? I think
What about... Do you know Darren Lyons? Are you familiar with
Yes.
Darren Lyons? He
Yes.
was on Celebrity Big Brother, and he had...
Oh, yes,
He had work done to give himself a six-pack, but he didn't bother to lose weight. He just had the six-pack sort of put on the top. This is Darren.
Is that true then? Are they implants?
I
Is that fact?
believe that they're a sort of a liposuction method,
Well, I mean,
although you
yeah.
can get the same look just by lying face downwards on one of these. OK, so what is Mira's choice?
Overuse of the word like.
They like that.
It drives me nuts. I was sitting behind a couple of young people. I suppose my definition will be anybody under 25. And the conversation went something like, so I was like, no, and he was like, yeah, and I was like, whatever, and I was like, no, and he was like, yeah. And I sat there thinking, I don't actually know what any of that was about. There wasn't any nouns in it. There wasn't any verbs in it, I don't think. It's become this all-purpose filler word, which means nothing. It's robbing us of all our descriptive uses of this beautiful language, which it is. And it makes people sound really thick when they're not.
You got the crowd on your side.
How many men have been president of the United States?
Oh, it's 46 or something.
Well, shall we ask the great man himself? Shall we ask the current president?
Is he here?
Is he here
You're
tonight?
quite
Ladies
excited.
and gentlemen.
What a waste of a guest. I think Andy've given up my seat. I think he sat in the audience for this one.
Here he is, the president, but which number of the United States? He's here to tell us.
I thank President Bush for his service to our nation. As well as the generosity and cooperation he has shown throughout this transition. 44 Americans have now taken the presidential oath.
He's wrong. He made a mistake.
He's only been on once and he's wrong already.
He is currently known as the 44th, just as Bush was known as the 43rd, but they aren't. Bush was the 42nd and he is the 43rd.
Oh.
Do you know why this is?
One of them was invisible.
Was there someone who was president for a bit and then stopped being president? Someone else was president and came back?
There was one non-consecutive president,
Right.
who was the 22nd and the 24th.
Why did they count him as two? That doesn't make any sense. Yet they count Clinton as one.
Yeah, because his terms are consecutive. This one was the 22nd, then Benjamin Harrison was president, and then he was the 24th. This was Grover Cleveland.
I think if I was doing that, if I was setting that system up, I would have gone for the number of different men. Right?
Yes.
I would say, you know, that you get a new number if you're a different man.
Person, exactly.
Not if there was a gap.
No, I know, but there's only ever been one gap, and for some reason they didn't do that. So when he took his second oath, he was called the 24th president, although he was the same man who'd been the 22nd.
Well, he was actually Stalin.
He was, he does look a bit like
So not only did he rule Russia, kill millions of people, he was 2 presidents of the United States.
It's a weird system,
That's
isn't it?
CV.
It's quite a bombshell.
Now we know what he was doing in between presidents.
Yeah, exactly. Barack Obama is, in fact, the 43rd person to become president of the United States because Grover Cleveland held the position twice with a 4-year break in between, making him the 22nd and the 24th president of the United States. How many Spartans died at the Battle of Thermopylae?
Oh. This can be 300. Well, I saw a documentary about this.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure it's definitely 300.
The film is called 300?
Is there not a thing that one... Because there weren't just Spartans there.
Sparta!
There were...
That is how it's pronounced.
There weren't just Spartans there. There were other... But I think one of the Spartans sound
There was
nasty.
a narrow coastal pass that was defended just by Spartans, 300 of them, plus their king, played by Gerard Butler, who was...
Spartan!
Called...
The 301st?
His name was... He was the 301st. Leonidas, if you prefer.
Leonidas.
He's
now got a chain of chocolate shops.
I was brought up to call him Leonidas, but Leonidas seems to be the way now. I don't know. Who knows? But Leonidas or Leonidas, thank you. He defended a narrow coastal pass, and so they're 301. Only 299 Spartans died, though, so it leaves 2 who didn't. Leonidas did. 2 survived because they never took part.
Mike and Bernie Winters.
A lot of nudity going on, which was a very Spartan thing.
Yeah. Oh, he's got his sword.
The couple by the tree seemed very fond of each other, one's grasping the nipple of the other. Their swords casually laid against
so
them.
much effort and not put your pants on.
There's something about the one of the ones that they were ashamed.
They were desperately ashamed. One called rather wonderfully Pan-Titties. It's a bit like...
Do you mean pantitis?
There was an MP who was introduced to Churchill, his name was Bossum, and Churchill said neither one thing nor the other. But anyway, Pan-Titties, or Pant-Titties, or whatever he was, Pantites, went off to deliver a diplomatic message, apparently, an embassy, and he hanged himself from shame when he got back and saw that he was the only survivor. In fact, he wasn't the only survivor, because Eurytus couldn't fight because of an eye infection. The Spartans have taken all the credit for the winning of the Battle of Thermopylae, but it was very much a combined effort with the Athenians, who were their allies at the time. Herodotus, known as the father of history, who was born 4 years after the battle, is the closest contemporary source, and he estimated the Greeks numbered about 5,000.
He was born 4 years after it had happened.
Yeah, but he's the closest.
best we can do.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
That's all right, then.
No one else wrote...
That's
no one
better
else...
than a lot of ancient history.
The father of history, what's he called?
Herodotus.
Herodotus. Because it must have been a lot easier when he was around. I'm not having a go at him.
No, it's a fair
But less
point.
things had happened back then.
Fewer things.
Yes.
I think...
Common usage. Play common usage cards.
It's so like being back at school. It's unbelievable.
Apparently, you can say less or if you want to now.
Apparently, you can just say what you like these days.
Yeah.
Apparently, that's
You can
the new
literally
thing.
say less if you want.
Apparently, you're not allowed to scream idiot at people. What was the point in getting an education at all? I know how to use the apostrophe. Apparently, now it doesn't matter. What I want the time it took me to learn that back.
You need to be less bothered about this, or fewer bothered. You need to be fewer bothered about this kind of thing. Just let it go. Be fewer upset.
OK, so what is Greg's choice?
People who give their dogs specific instructions.
That old chestnut.
I just think a dog is of limited intelligence. It's well established, and there's an argument about whether they're sentient beings or not, whether they have any awareness of self. I can't be bothered to get into that argument.
No.
But they're dogs, OK? There are people in my local park who are having full conversations with their dogs. They're going, oh, Coco, don't mess around in that bush. And I think Coco doesn't know he's in a bush. Coco has no concept of what a bush is. Coco is just trying to smell other dogs' wee and try and find something to eat or have sex with. There's a woman in my park who walks about 5 dogs, and she's going, "Oh, Lulu, Lulu, don't play with Coco's stick. That's his stick." Well, Coco has some concept of ownership. And it wasn't his stick anyway. I saw him, he picked it up in the park. And the same can be applied, while I'm on the subject, to toddlers. I don't... I've heard mothers in West London talking to 2-year-olds going, no, don't play with that bowl because you're going to spill food on the floor and someone's going to have to come and clean that up. And the toddler's going, because all they've got a concept of is there's something they can ram in their mouth. They have no concept of the I'm genuinely furious.
That's winding up Diane.
Magicians. I think they're quite needy people, generally. Whenever I watch them, I'm never entertained.
That's quite a negative review.
Isn't it?
Really?
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't. There was one that I went to a restaurant, and there was one that was going between the tables, between courses, and showing you a card trick. And then he'd finish the card trick, and he'd wait, and you can't just go. You've got to go. Oh, that was good. How did you do that? So you feel like they're getting more out of this than you are. I think it starts with parents giving kids magic sets. Because if you give a kid a magic set, that's like a starter kit for a psychopath, isn't it?
I never had a magic kit, I must admit. Is it a common gift for children?
For psychopaths, yeah.
OK.
It's so boring. It's like cups and balls. Who cares? Pulling flags out your sleeve. I just can't find any enthusiasm for it.
So, what's upsetting Richard?
Audiences cheering. I mean, that could be enough. But audiences cheering at the name of the town in which they reside. I just don't see why you need to emit that sound. I mean, you know, I'm from Ipswich, so obviously I can't emit joy. So it seems very strange to me. I've never understood it. You say Hull. It seems odd. I don't know what I'm meant to do with that information. Are you happy about Hull? You're happy. OK.
I think it's a form of missionary work, isn't it?
OK.
It's that man saying, you probably think it's terrible coming from Hull.
No,
but in fact, it's...
right.
Hey!
OK.
I think that's he's selling Hull as a concept.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a long pitch for Hull. It makes me feel like everyone's been hypnotised. And someone said, when your town's name is mentioned, obviously you'll have to go, hey! And someone's gone, and they've never been snapped back out of it.
So, what about James's choice? The shot put. I realise now I actually misread your choice. You can't not like the shot put, can you?
Oh, I can. Who here is a fan of the shot put? One guy. And he's a liar. Right, here's the problem. At the Olympics, everyone does their stuff and it's amazing, and you're seeing people doing things, you go, I couldn't do that, it looks incredible. The shot put, it just looks rubbish. They throw it, and literally he's here, and he throws it, and it lands there. And I know it's heavy, but I've never held a shot put, so I don't know how heavy it actually is. So I don't know context for it. So all I'm doing it on TV is watching someone throw a ball a little way. That is it.
There's a certain method, though. You have to hold it tight to your chin and straighten the arm.
Yeah, you've got to do that.
Yeah.
How's that fun?
The Berlin 1938 Olympics got a big cheer every time. What sort of people make Henning Wayne angry?
Oh, dear God.
Nah, come on, they're my lot. I can make fun about them. I suggest we abolish the monarchy because I feel, well, I feel so sorry for all the members of the royal family.
Why?
No, well, because, you know, life is about bettering yourself. But when you're born into the royal family, how are they going to better themselves? And here's everything. OK, then. So now we mentioned William and Harry born into a regular family. I mean, you could easily see Harry getting a job at a garage and William, I mean, who is to say William couldn't make it up into middle management in a recruitment company? Let's abolish the monarchy and give them an opportunity of upward social mobility.
As we all know, they are essentially German, the British monarchy.
Well, not all Germans are good people.
Even the Duke of Edinburgh, his family name is Schleswig-Holstein, Sonderburg, Glucksberg. Everybody's talking about pop music.
So have you met them? Any of them?
You would think they invite me round for tea, but no, I've never met them.
Because there
Have
is...
you, Michael?
Well, once or twice.
What is Catherine's choice?
DJs. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
This is DJs that join in at the end of the song. I mean, I love the radio. I've not listened to your show on the radio because it's too early, but I love the radio in the morning.
It's a podcast. But carry on.
So I love the radio in the morning, and, you know, you're listening to a song, they've played maybe, you know, Elvis in the Ghetto or something really moving, a storytelling song. You're in that special place, looking out the window at the morning happening. And then they just have to crash in and butcher it over the last 2 bars because they can't not hear the sound of their own voice for more than 20 seconds. I have actually almost lifted up the radio and thrown it through the kitchen window because it completely destroys. What's the point in playing a song if you're not going to let people get to the nice moment at the end when the song has finished and done its work?
Yes.
Do you do this? Am I putting you into Room 101?
I don't do it that much.
Oh,
I
didn't realise you did it.
I don't do it off. I interrupt it. I played Vertigo by U2 a while back, and in the middle of it, I came in and started talking.
In the middle? That's even worse.
Yes, because they had interrupted my iTunes music with their album. They started it. Okay, so, to Frankie.
Celebrity atheist. I am an atheist, but I don't like celebrity atheists. I was a very bad Catholic, unless you include my attitude to condoms, in which case I was an amazing Catholic. But I don't like the judgmental nature of celebrity atheists. I think some religions have done good things. The Quakers fought against the Vietnam War. Liberation theology in Central America, those people all got killed standing up for poor people. And what's the reward? To be looked down on by Ricky Gervais. I don't need Ricky Gervais to tell me that God doesn't exist when I watch Derek get recommissioned twice. I just sort of think, you know, we all need something to get through. You know, and why stand in judgment on what other people need? So Ricky Gervais or Richard Dawkins, whoever, they need retweets or whatever they need. and other people need different things. I just feel the whole thing's a bit religious. You know, so it's the idea of certainty to me is very religious. The idea of judgment is very religious. And it's blaming God, it's blaming religion. You know, they go, religion causes violence. OK, some violence is caused by religion, some violence is caused by lager, some violence is caused by people cheating at pool. But at the moment when you go, I'm blaming that on God, that's like you don't get any mayonnaise in your chicken zinger and you blame it on Colonel Sanders.
I can sense Nicola here thinking, what's wrong with violence? Or... OK, what doesn't Lee like about television?
Top Gear. Let's put this to bed straight away. I'm speaking on behalf of everyone in the world when I say cars are boring. Full stop. They're not interesting. And even the producers, I think, of the show know that that's true because what they talk about is never the reality of cars, our world of cars. It's that fake reality of things like, today we're going to talk about off-road vehicles. Am I the only person in the world that's never driven off a road?
I've gone off, but in a normal car.
Yeah.
In Notting Hill. I see those women, and I just
I'm not talking
swerve.
about your heavy drinking days, Ruby. I'm talking about... Yeah, it's the language. The language that doesn't have anything to do with my experience of driving, you know. You know, you'll hear them say things like, you know, if I talked about the new suspension on the Audi 6149, you'd say, but what about the torque? I don't know, I wouldn't.
Lee, can I just say...
I'd say, where's the cup holder? Because that's the only thing. If it's on the right, good design. If it's on the left, it's a bad design because I'm right-handed. I say, anything else?
I know nothing about cars at all. I drive a grey one. And I've never seen Top Gear because I have no interest in cars. Obviously, I haven't watched it. And so I watched a few episodes. I gotta say, I really liked it. I did. It reminded me of... I played cricket once with Jeffrey Archer, and he was a really nice bloke. I was gutted. What do you drive, then?
Well, as it happens, I drive a 1966 Triumph TR4A IRS, but that's not the point. The point is... But it's not the point, is it? Because...
Oh, you know, that's not true, is it?
No, it is, yeah. But I'd like to point out, because I know nothing about cars, but it's an old 1960s classic car, and I love the look of it. It's a beautiful... I can definitely appreciate...
Oh, God, it's going on now.
I can appreciate the beauty of a car without wanting to see a programme about it.
Here's the thing. This is a picture of Jeremy Clarkson in a small car. Now, that's funny, isn't it?
I won't have a word said against this man. Once I had him on a talk show, and my husband said, whatever you do, don't ask him for a free car. Before he actually hit the leather. I said, Jeremy, can you fix me up with a free car? Anyway, he did about 10 years ago, and I've still been using his name.
He got you a free car?
He got me a deal. I can't say with who.
No.
But so I have to say Jaguar as much as I can.
But would you love it more if it did more classics?
Yeah, I would, because classics look nice. All modern cars look roughly the same, don't they? Roughly.
Oh, no, not a Jaguar.
No, they... If you're going to promote them, at least learn to say it properly.
How am I saying
Jaguar, 3 syllables over here.
Yeah. You say...
You're saying Jaguar.
OK. I don't have time to say that, OK?
This is starting to look like a really bad episode of Top Gear.
I'll tell you what, if he gave her the glasses with that T-shirt, it'd be a really bad episode of Where's Wally?
What's Russell's choice?
Grumpy Kids. Exactly, right? I was in a restaurant the other day and I heard a child say, "Oh, Wagamama again." I used to lose my mind when I went to a Harvester. Lose my mind. Go into school the next day, salad bar, amazing. Like, I had an Italian dish called a lasagna. I've got everything. They're whining. They've got wheels in their shoes. iPads. Sky Plus. If you'd have shown me Sky Plus when I was 10, I'd have thought you were a wizard. Like that. More than telly. And, like, could have been so much worse to just... Every kid I seem to do, like, I'm talking about 10-year-olds, just whining, tubby messes. And... it just does my head in. It could have been worse. Could have grown up in the 80s, where, you know, the telly was awash with offenders, and, you know, it was, you know. And, like, think of the hours we played the recorder. The hours we did that. Have we ever needed it in our... I've never been at a party. I know what this needs. Girls in the corner. Do you know Little Donkey? You know I do.
We have a picture of you when you were, I think, 12-year-old.
Oh, really?
Russell.
OK. Oh, there you go. Happy child. Well, I haven't seen that for a long time. I look a bit like Harry Potter's German pen pal. Who would have thought that when I sat for that picture, it would end up on telly and people would just be like...
I know. Yeah, just
smile. What's the worst that could happen? All right.
When I was at school, the big game for us was a thing called pile-ups, where one kid lay on the floor and 50 kids lay on top. You'd be on the bottom thinking, shouldn't my ribcage be inside my blazer? I feel a bit sorry for kids now, though. I live in quite a sort of a posh bit of London, and I think the kids there just don't get enough sugar. You know, they ask for a cornetto, they get a little box of raisins. That's not parenting.
Well, exactly. I remember, remember Angel Delight now? There's a pudding.
Yes.
One bite of that, you know, I'm going on the roof! And my sister's one of the greatest moments in the Howard family. My sister's eating Angel Delight. She goes, Dad, what's Angel Delight made of? And my dad just went, dead angels. That's parenting. Me and my brother are like, this is the best day ever.